بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال الرسول يا رب إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا.
Then the messenger will say, "O my Lord, this Quran was abandoned by my people." The first question that we ask about this verse is, who are the people about whom the Prophet is making this complaint? Is it Quraysh, as they were the qawm of the Prophet? Of course, that is a plausible answer, because Quraysh really did not believe in the message of the Quran, except, of course, very few. The qawm, the tribe, the people of the Prophet who were Quraysh, they did not believe in it. And Prophet had to leave his own city to Mecca, to Medina, to a new people who would have received this message in a better way. During the whole 13 years that the Prophet was in Mecca, only about 300 people believed in him, and this was really unacceptable in terms of reception of the Quran by a qawm, by a people. So it is plausible to say that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is making this complaint about Quraysh. However, this verse cannot be restricted to Quraysh. This is something which is for all generations. And therefore, we can say that abandoning the Quran is not restricted to the Quraysh. It may have a wider meaning, which I will explain in a short while. However, what is the wider meaning of qawmi, my people? It may actually refer to Muslims as well, to Muslims throughout centuries. We see that throughout the centuries, Muslims have not acted based on the Quran. We have not followed the Quran in a correct way. And we see, for example, nowadays there are schools for learning Quran in different parts of the world. There are huge institutions for teaching Quran to children. But when it comes to practice, the practice is not right. The practice is not based on the Quran. And therefore, this is a type of abandoning the Quran. We have not abandoned, of course, the recitation of the Quran, or we have not abandoned respecting the Quran in our houses, put it somewhere holy, but of course, acting based on the Quran, benefiting from the admonitions of the Quran is something that we do not do in the most perfect way. And this is why the whole Muslim nation could be included. وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِي اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. My people have taken this Quran as something abandoned, not practicing. The Jews and Christians at the time of the prophets, they had a claim on faith, on that religion of God. Now, the Quran tells them, the Prophet tells them, I do not regard you as Jews and Christians before you uphold your own book. If you uphold your own book, then I regard you as Jews and Christians. Otherwise, do not come to me and talk about Judaism and Christianity. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ لَسْتُمْ على شيء حتى تقيموا التوراة والإنجيل وما أنزل إليكم من ربكم. You are nothing. You cannot claim. You have no claims before you uphold the Torah and the Injil and what is revealed to you from your Lord. Therefore, the important thing is that we have to uphold the Quran. This is the main meaning of not abandoning the book. Now, what are the different levels of abandoning the Quran? One level of abandoning the Quran is not reciting it, not listening to it. Of course, this is abandonment. One level before this is not believing in it at all. When we hear this message, we do not believe in it. This is abandoning the Quran. This is taking it mahjur. The second level is not listening to it, not reading it. The third level, which is more important, is not acting based on it and not taking admonitions from it. The fourth level is not having it as a book of law amongst ourselves. Do not listen to its legislations. The higher level is not taking it as a cure for the diseases of our hearts. And these are all levels of abandoning the Quran. So when the Prophet is going to make this complaint, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا, we fear that we may be actually included in this complaint of the Prophet. Now, what are the consequences of this complaint? What happens if the Prophet makes this complaint? When did the Prophet make this complaint? Apparently, this is about the Day of Judgment. Although the Prophet had this complaint in this world as well, as we have in the other verse, وَقِيلِهِ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءَ قَوْمٌ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ, when the Prophet said, Oh Allah, these are the people who do not believe, who do not follow the Quran. But the context, the linguistic context of the verses in this surah shows that this complaint is going to be made on the Day of Judgment. And if Prophet makes a complaint on the Day of Judgment about a people, then they will not be included in his shafa'ah. This is, of course, a very grave consequence. And inshallah, this would not happen to us. At least we could have one very thin line of connection to the Quran, which would not make it as being abandoned by us. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi.